Hi folks, I'm Matt and welcome to my top 100 vintage board games of all time. We are in the top 80 right now and I can't wait to discuss what number 80 is. So let's get to it. It was number 61 last year, so it drops 19 spots. But it's the game Conspiracy. Ooh, in the game Conspiracy, you just got a passbook and that's it. And basically you're taking turns. You're either moving one of the spies, blowing the cover of a spy, which we call assassinating, or spending some of your imaginary cash, you have 10,000 imaginary dollars, into your pay book to pay off an assassin so that you can control them. And what you're trying to do is to get this briefcase that starts in the middle, and it's a four-way tug of war. You're trying to bring it back to your headquarters. Now, I've praised this game in the past. It's so unique, it's so much fun, but why did it drop almost 20 spots on my list then if it's so great? It even got a reprint from Restoration Games. I was super excited about the reprint, but when I saw the gameplay, I was like, no, I don't like that. I don't like that. The problem with Conspiracy, and it happened again this year, which is why I had to drop it hard, because we seem to have the same problem. If you do not do addition correctly, you're going to win the game. Everyone who wins the game, I say, can I look at your playbook, your passbook, please? Because I give them the win, but then I find out they spent $11,000 or $12,000. This past year, one of my little nephews spent $12,000. He won the game. Yeah, of course you did. You had the most money. No, all of us got limited to $10,000. So I was hoping that Restoration Games would do something like keep the game basically the same, but maybe you see the money leaving, but you don't know who it's being assigned to. And I think that's what I'm going to try next time. I'm going to assign maybe poker chips as cash, and when they go to their little paybook, they shoot out the poker chips. We just don't know who it's going to. Now, the only problem with it is when it gets down to the last few spies on the board, you can basically guess where they're putting money on, and you can almost see where they're putting money on it. So maybe hide the money behind a shield that they're paying. I don't know. It's kind of tricky to figure out what a good answer to that would be. But this is a fun game, which is still why it's on my list at number 80. My number 79 was number 68 last year. It drops 11 spots on my list here, and that's because I haven't played it in a long time. It's Sabacc, the card game. Now, I got this from the West End Games Crisis on Cloud City book, and I cut up the cards, I laminated them, I bought a special die. It was a die from another Star Wars game. It has a lightsaber where the 6 should be, but that's what I used to do the randomizer of the cards. So if the lightsaber rolls up, then you have to discard your hand and get a new deck of cards unless you have it in the safety field, the status field. And I used to play this all the time, and I showed, I think, my little nephews a long time ago how to play, and they were like, okay, Uncle, we'll play a stupid game with you. But I just can't find anyone to play the game with anymore, and there's not as many Star Wars nerds as there are like me. Now, maybe one day I'll find a situation where they're like, Matt, you got a deck of Sabacc cards we can play? I was like, yeah, let me break out some. And I'm shocked this is a game that they haven't made. Like, I'm shocked Hasbro, when they make all these little cheap little games all the time, why not make a really nice deck of Sabacc and sell that? I've never understood why they haven't done that. Maybe they have and I just haven't seen it. But if so, I think this would be a money maker for them, because I'm sure somewhere in the new movies they've been playing this game, right? Anyway, I still love the game. It's still on my list, even though it moved down to number 79. Number 78 was number 76 last year, so it just moves down about 2 spots, and it's Chipmunks Go to Hollywood. Basically, the Chipmunks are buying Dave Seville a gift, and so they sneak out of the house, go to the gift shop, and they have to get back to Dave in time. It's called Hollywood because there's movie reels going everywhere, which if you have a movie reel card, you can play it and take the shortcut. Or if someone's landing on a movie reel, you can send them back down the path. Ooh, how mean is that? The game is pretty neat because it has a catch-up mechanism in it to where the first one who gets to the gift shop, everyone has a predetermined card that is their gift, but there are these face-down cards in the gift shop. You're trying to find the card. You take your entire turn to find the card that matches your gift. If you don't get it right, you have to wait for your next turn, which allows everyone else to move up the board and catch up, which means the last person there is going to easily find their gift, or if you're not playing with 6 players, they're not going to have that many choices to choose from, and they probably won't stay in the gift shop that long. I kind of like that. The only problem with the game is there's one super powerful card that switches you with another player, and if you have that card, you're going to win. you're going to win the game. Because by the time someone gets close to Dave, everyone's been through the gift shop, and someone's holding on to that switch card, and they're waiting till you're at the end, and then they're going to switch with you and walk on in and win the game. I thought about removing that card from the game. If you remove that card from the game, you'll still have a fun little chipmunk game. Sadly, I don't even have my old chipmunk game that I loved and had as a kid. It was just too dumb, and Chipmunks Go to Hollywood is just a better game. And this is one of the Mrs. games too. This is not my game. So good on her. She gets another win there at number 78 on my list. My number 77 was number 96 last year. Folks, this almost moved up 20 spots. That's 19 spots on the list. Almost a what was I thinking here. But Crash Canyon is a much better game than I thought it was. Maybe I didn't have that good an experience last time, but the last time I played this with my nephews, you're basically on this 3D board. You're racing these micro machines around the board. It is strategic. You got to let it go and let them slide across the bridge or slide down a hill. And we had a lot of fun playing this game. And again, it's the fun factor maybe that moves this game up almost 20 spots. Because I remember when I was making my list, I thought, yeah, I think Crash Canyon was around around here in the 70s last time. And then I looked at my list from last year and I was like, 96. What? It barely made the top 100. No, this is a great game. It's such a fun game. It's a shame it costs way too much, though, so that a lot of people can enjoy it. Now, I did have someone look at my review and comment on the video and say, hey, you can put water on the board mat. It's fine. Yeah, I'm not going to do that, dude. I'm sorry. I just can't put water on my board game, even though it says put water in there. I'm sure it's water resistant too. I'm sure it's fine. I just don't want to do it. Now, if my nephews hear this, they're going to be pouring water in that little cove the next time we play. But anyway, there it is, Crash Canyon. Great game. Number 76 was number 52 last year. It takes a hard bump down, 24 spots on the list. And this one keeps moving down. I think this is in my top 20 the year before that. But sadly, Bargain Hunter, just getting beat down on the list here. It's still a good game. I've said this before, but if they could call the game Black Friday, it'd be the Bargain Hunter game. You're just moving around the mall, trying to get a list of items for the cheapest price available. Now, there's multiple shops selling these items, and the sales always change. There are certain spots you land on that change all the sales in the stores. So what was cheap in one store could be expensive now, yet they have a cheap blender. Or their TVs cost too much, but their sofas are a great deal. Where at the other place they have TVs at a better deal than sofas. So there's not one magic store that has all the cheap prices. Now you can go in there and pay top dollar for everything, but you're going to run out of money quick. This game is really harsh on having you run out of money. You run out of money like that because there's so many items you got to get. And that's one of the problems with the game. The game does run long. I would appreciate it, and maybe I need to take the time to do this, is do a selective list of items. Like, people have to get different items, but at the same difficulty, meaning there are high, marked items, there are lower cheap items, that you're trying to find sales for. Maybe break those up and give you maybe half of the items that you're looking for. I think that would make for a bit faster game. We did play this again this year, but the problem is it drags on and people are like, just someone in this, and that's what you're saying at the end. At the beginning, though, you're having a great time picking out the pets you want, picking out this and that. It's very thematic, it's very fun, and then it's like, going with your mom or maybe your wife at the mall and they're taking way too long. You're like, I'm pissed off. Can we just leave? Wow, this is actually a more thematic game than I thought. Number 75 is basically a game. When I reviewed it, I called it a toy. It's a new game to my collection, one of the few new games I have, and it is Snark the board game, or just the toy, really. You're basically these little ants or whatever on the Snark's tongue, and whenever it's a motorized, battery operated, his eyes spin, and whatever they land on, that's when you move your little critter, because if it matches the color of your critter, the first one off his tongue wins. There's zero strategy. In fact, the game decides the winner, basically, right? Like what color eyes are going to roll up first. And I thought, man, this game is stupid. I got it for 20 bucks. I didn't complain, but I was like, no, this is not a game. This is just a toy. When I showed it to my nephews and my niece, They love this friggin' game. We've played it a billion times. And it is fun because you're yelling at the Snardvark to get his eyes to turn blue or green or yellow or red. And like I said, again, here we are. The theme here, folks, is the experience of you playing the game. Did you have fun? What was your experience like? My experience with Snardvark, when I reviewed it, I didn't think much of it. But as I played it more with my nephews, they loved it, and my niece loved it. They always want to play Snardvark, always. So, hey, good for you, Snardvark. You made it on the list, even though, are you technically a board game? Number 74 was number 60 last year. It drops 14 spots. It's very similar to Snardvark. It is Shark Attack. Shark Attack, you're rolling these die, and you're moving around the board when those colors pop up on the die, and you're moving your fish around the board as the shark is slowly chomping around. Now, the shark moves incredibly slow, but catches up with you really quick, and you start running and screaming. It's total luck of the roll as well. There's zero effort in Snardvark, which is why I put Shark Attack above Snardvark. But Shark Attack is a game, and we did play it once this year. So my nephews have a fun time yelling at the shark as it's coming. We're like, hurry up and roll. One of the problems we have with the game is once someone rolls, another person grabs the die and they roll right behind them without that other person moving. So I've had to make a house rule that said roll and move. When they move, you can roll the dice. But everyone's trying to get away from the shark, so they keep breaking that rule. But Shark Attack is a fun game. If you find it for cheap, definitely something you should pick up. Hey, I love it. It's on my list still at number 74. Number 73 was number 75 last year. It's one of the Mrs. games. It's the Dukes of Hazzard board game. She's had this for a long time. She bought this when she bought the card game. I'm not much for card games, but I do enjoy the board game. The board game, basically you're racing down a freeway, which is way faster than the dirt road. However, the dirt road has spots on it that can help you, where the freeway has spots on it that can hurt you. So I've seen people win on both avenues. We've traveled both. The routes are pretty well balanced. The cool thing about this is it's not just 4 people driving the General Lee, which would have been fine, and 4 different colors. Anyway, the 4 vehicles are all different. They're Uncle Jesse's pickup truck, Cooter's truck, and Daisy's Jeep. And my wife, even though she loves Daisy's Jeep, she is always the Dukes of Hazzard. She's always the General Lee in the game. And so we play the game. We have a ton of fun with it. My nephews play it with her. It's a game we all enjoy, and it's basically around the same spot as it was last year, but it moved a little bit up at number 73. Number 72 was number 73 last year. It moves up 1 spot, and it didn't even get played this year. I was shocked that this game didn't get played and moved up on my list. It is Tank Battle. Tank Battle is a 2-player game, kind of like Battleship, where you're trying to guess where your opponent's going to move their tanks. And you're putting pegs on the board, and then you're revealing to each other, and if you guessed where they moved their tank, because tanks can move 1 to 3 spaces. It's been a while since I played it. But if you guessed right, you blew up their tank. Now, if tanks go head to head, they also have little cards on the back of them that you can see, but the opponent can't see. Then you turn them around. Whoever has the biggest, number, they blow up that other tank. And there's other ways to get tanks too. This is a very strategic game. It is a fun game. It got reprinted like in the 80s, the late 80s. Tank Command or something is what it's called, or I don't really know what it was called, but there's an 80s version that looks a lot better than my 70s version. When I saw the 88 version, I was like, ooh, that one looks nice. I would rather have that one. I think that one's way cheaper to get than the 70s version, which are bigger pieces, but just don't look as good. They had that 70s blah look to it, where the 80s one just looks a little bit better, even though the tanks are a little bit smaller. Anyway, Tank Battle is a fun game. Still happy to have it on my list. And finally, at number 71, it was number 78 last year. It goes up 7 spots. Why not? It's Pie Face, the game. I keep trying to see, is this the year I'm going to get rid of this game? Nope, because it gets played a ton of times. My little nephews love Pie Face. They still love it. This is their go-to game. You put a little whipped cream on the end, you spin the wheel, and you click the handle, and you wait to see if you're going to get hit with the pie. And everyone wants to get hit with the pie. If you don't get hit with the pie, they feel disappointed. They really don't know how to play this game. It's a little party game, so to speak. It is cheap. It is fun. They've made a ton of different versions of it. I actually got one and then gave it to my nephews because I didn't enjoy it. The base game on its own is really fun, and it does get broken out a lot. Sometimes at office parties, I have been asked to bring Pie Face in, and we've all played Pie Face together. Now they have a ton of what I call Pie Face rip-offs in the retail stores now. But the original Pie Face is a pretty fun game, which is why it's on my list at number 71. All right, gamers, that's all the time I have for now. Hey, but come back next time. We'll talk more top 100 vintage board games then.